welcome back. You're watching The Money Show with me, Kavita Thapliyal. So, fixed deposit is trending. Banks are coming up with special fixed deposit rates for specific tenures. So, how should you as an investor make the most of these fixed deposit rates? Let's welcome on board Hemant AR, AVP Communications, bankbazaar.com and take this discussion forward. Hemant, good evening and welcome to the show. So, it's raining fixed deposit, if I can say, and that too for specific tenures. Why is it that fixed banks are coming up with such attractive rates for 1 to 3 years period? What could be the reason and trigger for that?
Good evening, Kavita. So this trend we've been seeing for a while. Basically, the best rates available in the market right now would be typically in the 14 months to about 2.5 years range. This basically means that your best returns on fixed income are going to be in that 1 to 2 year range. The rates on 5-year deposits and deposits of longer tenors don't have such high rates. And this is basically because, the rates have been going up because of the changes in the repo rate in the last 1 year or so. The rates were slow to catch on last year. The deposits were priced around 4 to 5% last year, about a year ago. But now these rates are going up really rapidly. The banks have decided that the best value for money at this point in time would be in this tenor. I think it would be difficult for banks to lock into very high rates for 5 to 10 year periods. And that is why you see that, these 1 to 2 year tenors have the highest rates right now, Kavita.
Hemant, are you also talking about PSU bank, private banks, NBFCs and small banks especially, where we are seeing really attractive interest rates?
Correct. So I'll answer this in 3 parts. One is that, the very large banks, these would be the government banks and the large private banks. They have come out with special tenors where the rates are between 7.5%. Then there are smaller banks, the smaller private banks, where you would find rates between 7.5 to 7.9%. And then you have the small finance banks where the rates have exceeded 8% in some cases. In fact, in one case, we are seeing that the rates have reached 9%. From a macro standpoint, I hope the rates don't continue going up this way. And I feel like, if you want to lock into these tenors, 7.5%, it's a good rate to have. There are banks that are offering, 6.9. I can cite 2 large private banks that are offering 6.9 for 5-year tenors. I think those are good rates, if you want to lock into them.
All right, but then looking at all the fixed income options, Hemant, do you really think one should be making use of these fixed deposits for a small tenure or maybe up to 5 years? Does it make sense? Because we obviously had one option of a debt mutual funds, and if one doesn't want to take that anymore, looking at the taxation benefit that's gone out of the window, is fixed deposit the most viable and attractive option for them?
Why do we use fixed deposits? There could be multiple reasons. I could give you my example. I would like to keep some part of my holdings in cash, essentially as an FD, to withdraw in any emergency. That could be a health emergency or any other emergency where I need cash immediately. Now, from my standpoint, if I have to look back at rates in the last decade or so, I don't think I'm going to get much better than 7.5%. So for me, I feel like it makes sense to lock into those rates for the longest available tenor, because I don't see the rates going too far up from this point. On the other hand, you also need, cash for short-term considerations. For example, you might have some, planned event coming up. For example, you might be buying a car or a home, and you have decided that 1 year from now, you need that cash. In that sense, it doesn't really matter what the rate is, because you would withdraw that money in any case, whatever the rate might be. And, that is why you should prioritize the tenor of the FD rather than the rate. So those would be my 2 points. Basically, if you have emergency cash where you don't know when you would require that money, you could go for long tenors. And if you need that money immediately, then don't look at the rate. You could just look at whatever viable tenor there is for you, Kavita.
All right, but then the question comes now is, do we see these kind of attractive rates on fixed deposit only till maybe the first half of this year, and once, because a lot of reports and a lot of experts say that in the second half of this year we might see a rate hike pause, or maybe there could be the trend opposite. You think this is the time when you should really make the most of it and not wait for some more time?
Absolutely. I mean, that is what I have done personally, and this is the advice that we are giving at Bank Bazaar, saying that the rates might not get too better from this point. So we might be somewhere close to peak rates. And if you're getting peak rates for, let's say, 36 months or 48 months or 60 months, it's to your own benefit. The rates that we have just talked about, those would be for the general depositors. For senior citizens, you can expect 25 to 50 basis points higher. And if you're a super senior citizen, which would be somebody above the age of 80, some government banks are even offering, an additional 25 basis points. So, these are very good rates for you to lock into for whatever term you want to be locked in. So yes, make the most of it. There are special offers going on. Now, the special offers would be something like, a 10 additional basis point on like a 44-month tenor. What we are seeing is that, a 10 basis point or 20 basis point difference in those rates would not make a huge difference for you in terms of returns. If you have an FD and you have the option of 7.6 or 7.7, it's not going to make a massive difference for you in terms of returns. So just look at your own requirements, when you need that money, what rate is acceptable to you, how long you want to be locked into that tenor, and just make the most of these rates.
Corporate FDs at the current moment attractive, Hemant, and how can one figure out what's the best corporate FD for them?
So the AAA rated FDs are doing, they're offering close to 8% now. They haven't hit 8%, but there are options like Bajaj or Sundaram or LIC, Mahindra. These are getting close to 8% now, 7.75 to 7.95. And a lot of these are on 44 months, 48 months, 60 months, and so on. There are special tenors being offered. HDFC is also somewhere close. ICICI is also somewhere close, just under 7.5, I believe. So again, the ratings of these companies is AAA. They have an excellent track record in managing depositor money. So yes, so looking at those ratings and their track record, I think at least you should get some exposure to these FDs if you want to improve your average FD returns. Kavita.
All right. Anything specific for senior citizens that one must be taking care of?
It's a open-ended question. There are lots of considerations here. I think the primary consideration would be the safety of capital. The guardrail that we often refer to is the DICGC limit of 5 lakh rupees, which is the deposit insurance. Some banks are safer than others. Although RBI has a great track record in managing these banks in terms of regulation, I think it's always sensible to adhere to that 5 lakh or deposit insurance limit in your considerations, especially when you're seeking higher returns while going with smaller banks. Apart from that, if you look at senior citizen rates for the long term, 5 to 10 years even, some banks are already above 7%. And we feel like those are good rates to lock into for the long term. I think senior citizens should look at those rates and make the best of them. It's quite possible that during the course of this year, interest rates will reverse and start falling. So then it will be a missed opportunity. So yes, make the best of those rates, Kavita.
I think that will be all. Thank you so much, Hemant, for removing time and helping our viewers as to how can they strategize their investment in a fixed deposit right now.